Marie was kind enough to let me pick out my Christmas present a little early. And this is something that I've been really excited to kind of take a look at. This is the Zero F38. So there's a company called Ulanzi. You've probably been seeing this gear start showing up a little bit more frequently in techie reviews. Started out as just really simple, basic stuff. This is the Ulanzi phone mount. Just let me put it back by my face so it's properly in focus. So this is just like a little smartphone mount you can pop on a tripod. Started out with just like a couple those little cube lights. Okay, so we kind of know what this stuff is. It's not knockoff, but it's adjacent. And very frequently you'll see this Ulanzi label on a product that you've seen on previous products. So this smartphone mount is from Rode. I got this as part of one of their podcasting kits. So I imagine Rode contracted a similar supplier or worked with Ulanzi directly for doing a labeled product. You can pop your phone into this metal mount. This is one of the best smartphone mounts I've ever used. Nice and springy, all metal construction, metal arms, metal spring, metal pins, connector, everything is really clean. Excuse me. So my main tripod, even here in the office, I kind of gave up on, I had this for a while. I was traveling with a carbon fiber tripod because it was lightweight, but it's kind of big. And I was making fun of TK because he's still using this. Sorry, TK. So this is my old carbon fiber tripod. And you're like, this is not huge. This is a pretty reasonable size. You know, it's shorter than one of my arms. And, you know, I have little hobbit hands, so you can imagine I don't have the longest arms. But this is just big enough. It doesn't fit well in backpacks or camera bags. It's always kind of strapped to the outside. So I love this tripod. It's super lightweight. It was decently inexpensive for when I bought it, but I kind of needed something even a bit more portable, something that made a little bit more sense to pack a more aggressive, streamlined bag of tech gear. So what I moved to, TK Bay, hashtag sorry, not sorry. TK, you got to pay attention to this because I think this is going to be right up your alley. So what I've been using for the last, about 2 years. I think I've had it for about 2 years. This is the Peak Design travel tripod. The folks at Peak Design let me review it, and I've stuck with the aluminum version of this. This is the less expensive version. There's a carbon fiber version of this tripod, but this is a little heavier than my old carbon fiber tripod, but you can see it's a lot more compact, and it gets to almost the same height as this bigger tripod. This was a really exciting way to shrink a travel stability product. So, you know, the way that all of the legs collapse, the way that everything fits together, and the way that they sort of shrink a ball and socket head directly into the center of this tripod is one of the most impressive technological feats that I've ever seen. So this is roughly a $350 tripod. And, you know, when you talk about pro photography gear, that's not a lot, but it is a lot, right? You can go to Target, go pick up a plastic tripod for like 50 bucks, and like that is perfectly adequate to get so much really cool stuff done. You just need to mount a phone or a camera. You want to take a nice holiday photo with you and your family. This is not what you turn to, right? This is what you turn to when you're trying to save space, shave weight, and you really have some type of mobile production need to invest in something this intense, this robust. I love it. I unabashedly adore this tripod and its construction and its capabilities. This is wonderful hardware. Okay, TK Bay is correcting me. It's $380 on B&H. Okay, so this is almost $400. The carbon fiber version is over $600. I was just trying to remember off the top of my head. So I'm gonna put this back on my desk. I'm gonna put this back in my closet, And then we're going to take a look at the Ulanzi, because the Ulanzi, I think you're going to see some striking similarities. This is like the most I've ever been off camera for a podcast here. So, oh, you know what we can do? Let's go back to Top Cam, and we'll talk about this on Top Cam. Top Cam, boom. And I can widen this out a little bit. There we go. So my little Ulanzi mounts, we'll get those over to the side. Here's the Peak Design. That's the Peak Design tripod. And now here's the Ulanzi, and you can see that the Ulanzi is just a little bit taller. So the Peak Design tripod sort of lines up right up to the head of the Ulanzi. So there's just a little bit, what do we want to say? It's about an inch actually. So we definitely do sacrifice some of the portability and length. This is also kind of showcased. You can kind of imagine with the bags. I was just dropped everything off the desk. So up here on top, this is the Peak Design bag. Underneath is the Ulanzi bag, and you can see there's a pretty sizable gap difference between the bags, the carry bags that you would use for these. But for this being the Peak Design being a $380 travel aluminum tripod, the Ulanzi is a similarly priced, if slightly less expensive, carbon fiber tripod. So they're pretty close in terms of pack size. This is just a little bit taller, but it still fits in most of my regular backpacks that my travel sort of gear backpacks. This still fits inside, but it's demonstrably lighter, and the legs are a little stiffer. So when you're actually trying to use good cameras on this, the weight can kind of flex the aluminum legs on the Peak Design. The carbon fiber legs stay just a little bit more rigid. Why I'm excited about this? The Peak Design mount system is really unique. And there is some compatibility with other mounts and plates that you can use the Peak Design tripod with. But it's been kind of a challenge getting things that consistently fit here and then I can use easily with some of my other mounts. So like when I go back to my A camera where I'm talking to you face to face, I had to find a mount solution that I could pop that camera off and put it on this Peak Design plate. Well, wouldn't you know it, the company that's making some of these cross-compatible plates is Ulanzi. So this is that smartphone mount again, but on the bottom you're going to see this square plate. So this square plate can work on an F38 mount, or it can work on a Peak Design mount, and all you have to do is rotate it 90 degrees. 90 degrees, it'll fit on my Peak Design, or 90 degrees, and it'll fit on my Ulanzi tripod. So I have gone through over the last couple months and I've replaced almost all of my mounts, even for silly things. Like this is my GorillaPod. So Jobby GorillaPod. It's got like a little quick release, a really plasticky quick release with a little bubble guide on it. But attached to that, I've now put on one of these fall cam F38 mounts so that I can pop this little control and slide that out. And then I can quickly move a phone from a GorillaPod to a Peak Design mount. And all of these plates now are completely cross-compatible in my setup. So this is why I'm kind of excited to see just a proper tripod using this mount system that I can also engage with really quickly. So here, let me kind of put that, oops. Do I have the wrong side? I think I have the wrong side. Oh, it would help if I'm doing it live. And unlock that. Come on, go on. There we go. So then I can take this little pin, I can lock this here, and at any point I can easily pop this and swap it with the tripods and the mounts that I already have. A couple other just little differences, things that I like and things that I don't. When I first got this Ulanzi tripod, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but one of the legs was a little loose. So these little plastic tension arms, that you can slide the carbon fiber out. When I was fully extending on this, the topmost piece, I would cinch it down and then I could push it back into the leg. So this was a little floppy. I had to get an Allen wrench and tighten that little connector there. But now I genuinely don't remember which leg it was. So all of these have been working pretty well. I do want to shout out the design for the head is really ingenious. So on the Peak design, we have a problem. On the Peak design tripod, you can't adjust the ball and socket until you extend the center column. So if the ball and socket is totally down and you unscrew this to make an angle adjustment, it's perfectly flush with the legs of the tripod and you can't move it around. It's stuck in there. So you cinch that down, you pull it out, and then once you've extended it from the main body, you can get in there and move this around. But it's also got this triangle sort of system where you can't line up the angle as easily. So you have to mount something on the top plate, and then if you want it to be sort of perfectly 90 degrees, you can only go to one side of this triangle. If you go to another side, well, that's not perfectly 90 degrees anymore. So you've got to mount this, know which side you're going to, and then you can have like this is helpful if you're trying to make like a vertical or a portrait shot as opposed to a landscape shot. I gotta say, Ulanzi has done something really cool where the head is actually only two-sided. So I'm gonna pull this, and you can do some angle adjustment even without the head being extended from the rest of the tripod body. You don't have the full range of motion, but you can make subtle adjustments if you just need to adjust an angle a little bit. But if you pop the center column and you pull it out a little, you can go on two sides. So you don't have three sides like on the Peak design, but when you lock it in place on one side, there is a separate control right there where you can change the angle of the top plate. So we don't have that on the Peak design. This is one of the reasons why the Ulanzi tripod is taller, because they are actually adding a smooth fluid turn head here, which we don't have on the Peak design, which helps you line up your angle so much more easily. You don't have to rotate the plate and you don't have to rotate the head to find the right side. You just throw it into your portrait mode, flip that knob, make your adjustment for the height, tighten that knob back down, and you're good to shoot. So I am very pleased. I think overall, the Peak design is still slightly better built than what we have here on the Ulanzi, but we're talking slightly better built on a product that costs significantly more if we're comparing carbon fiber to carbon fiber. Again, this is aluminum, it is compact, it's not heavy, but it's heavier for using a metal construction in the legs. This is carbon fiber, and this is less expensive than the aluminum Peak design. I am ridiculously impressed with what Ulanzi has been able to achieve here. Obviously, they're drawing direct inspiration from Peak design, but this has been a phenomenally well-built accessory to put everything together. The last major difference, I just thought it was kind of cute that when you open the Peak design, there in the center column you have this little smartphone mount, but this smartphone mount has broken on me, and my camera's not focusing on it. My smartphone mount has broken on me a couple times. This is my third replacement, just because these little smartphone these smartphone mounts kind of snap at where they tension. So we don't have anything quite that clever on the Ulanzi, but considering how inexpensive it is to get a plate and a proper smartphone mount, the costs of these together are about the same price as the Peak design by itself. So on the Ulanzi, in the center column, what you have is an Allen wrench tool. So if I pop this out, so you can use this to tighten and tension some of the mounts and pieces on the Ulanzi, and that's fine. It's not the most helpful. I kind of wish there was another tool in there that was maybe a bit broader, but that's the last like little fun, or I guess the fun difference between the two. So if you're shopping a travel tripod, This is now one of my top picks. What Ulanzi has done, Ulanzi and Coman, the F38 mounts. And the thing is, you don't have to feel like you're going to be locked into one type of ecosystem because it's pretty easy to get compatible plates that will move back and forth. So I didn't really mean to turn that into a full video review. But yeah, it's pretty great. I really like it a lot. Merry Christmas to me.